Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Fox98 here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of my F1 2020 My Team career mode for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are here for Random 16, which is the Singapore Grand Prix. Yeah, as you can already see, we're actually starting things off over in the on the laptop because I got a little bit confused. But first things first, you can see here that we've got a driver retirement. So Romain Grosjean will be retiring from Formula 1 at the end of this season. So some big news then coming out of Haas, and that Romain Grosjean will retire from Formula 1. Really big news, that one, and it's going to cause a major shift in the driver transfer market, and it might mean that we might have to get involved with this driver transfer market and see what, you know, cracks along. But yeah, big shock there. Romain Grosjean will be leaving Haas. And as you can see then, we're going to get straight into qualifying. And it's a full wet qualifying session for the Singapore Grand Prix. How fun. I am so excited for a full wet run around Singapore. I swear to God, like, I don't get a break with wet weather on this game. It's just ridiculous right now. But moving on then into qualifying. Just to confirm one thing, the audio, as you probably can tell, is going to sound a little bit quiet, although I don't know why I'm saying that, because I don't even know why I'm telling you that the audio is quiet, because I had the game sound down, because I'm just going to amplify the volume so it doesn't sound as quiet, so that was a bit of a waste of my time. Ignore that, let's get straight into qualifying then. So Q1, we set our first lap, and then we came back around, set ourselves another flying lap, to go half a second shy of Valtteri Bottas, and of course the aim of the game in the wet is to simply just get the laps in, and we did that, and we got through into Q2, qualifying in P12 there, so not a bad session. My teammate Aitken also getting through into Q2. He was only 0.2 of a second off of me actually in that qualifying session, so promising stuff there, but of course qualifying is very different to the race, where Aitken really does struggle compared to me, and I think pretty much everyone else's career modes, their teammates struggle in compared to yourself in the race. But it's Q2 then, and the full wet conditions are here to stay, which is fantastic. Can't wait for that. As we cross the start-finish line then, we set a 1 minute 57.5. And then as we cross the start-finish line here, the checkered flag has come out. We didn't actually improve on our lap 1 then, but luckily enough, it is P7, and it's enough to get us through into Q3 for this qualifying session. So the wet weather around Singapore is not actually phasing me. I was actually kind of alright with it. I was working quite nicely with the conditions, and we end up pretty much a second off of pole position in Q2. And my teammate Aitken, unfortunately, didn't make it through. He actually finished bottom of the pile there, 2 seconds off the pace, which is very puzzling considering he was much closer to me, and he's pretty much far off of everybody. But this was my best lap in Q3, so I'm going to shut up, and I'm just going to let you guys watch it, because I was actually really satisfied with the lap. So there we go then, that was my best lap in qualifying. I actually couldn't match that lap time. You can see here, I did try and go again, but I made a couple of mistakes at the start of the lap. Then I damaged my front wing, I believe, and then my lap time was invalidated because I just caught a cut because, yeah, I didn't have any front wing. So I didn't really able to turn the car. But even though it wasn't a lap that set us, way up to the top, I just felt like it was just really, really clean and well managed. And I was just satisfied with it. So I thought I'd go ahead and show the lap nonetheless. Like I said, it's 1.2 seconds off the pole. But at the end of the day, for me, like I said, really, really happy with it. And that is qualifying done for us today then. So we're going to be qualifying 8th place on the grid for the Singapore Grand Prix, which overall, I think it's like very, very nice actually to qualify that high up. And as you can see, Claire then is going to be coming at us with some questions. First of all, talking about the bad weather in the qualifying session, in which I pretty much just said that the team have to work harder. And then in terms of our grid position, I was very, very satisfied with where we're going to be starting. Yeah, I believe it does actually properly give us a good shot of some points. Of course, Singapore, being a very, very difficult street circuit, is definitely going to mean that qualifying is critical. And we've done a very good job of cementing that. And in the rivalry now between myself and Albon, the gap is now 2 points with just the race to go. So we need to beat Albon somehow in order to have a chance of beating him in the rivalry. But without further ado, let's get straight into the race for the Singapore Grand Prix.
Against the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline, Formula One returns once again to do battle in what tends to become something of an endurance race, with the notorious sauna-like temperatures in the cockpit making for an extremely physically challenging Grand Prix. We're here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit today, located in the heart of Singapore. The circuit consists of 23 corners, 13 to the left and 10 to the right. It's a track that's incredibly technical, so don't expect to see the drivers taking too much at full throttle. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today for the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you've got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Vettel, Alexander Albon and Leclerc, Ricciardo, Thomas, Stroll and Carlos Sainz, Ocon, Gasly, Sergio Perez and Norris, Aitken, Kvyat, Kimi Raikkonen and Kevin Magnussen, Grosjean, Russell, Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi starts from the back of the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Alright, so on the grid then here to start the Singapore Grand Prix, and it's going to be, well, we have the option of a two-stop strategy or a plain one-stopper. Around Singapore, one stop is the way to go, and that's what everyone else is doing. Of course, we've got free choice of tyres after a wet qualifying. It's 5 lights. And it's lights out. We go here to start the Singapore Grand Prix. Quick light sequence there as we get underway now with a good start initially from ourselves. As we go in towards the first corner now. We're going to go down the inside of Charles Leclerc. We make the move stick. Bit of contact there between myself and Charles Leclerc. We're literally stuck on each other there. We go sideways in towards the first corner, but we just about hang on in there and we're out on top now. Leclerc though gets back in front of us as we go down in towards turn 4 now and making the charge down towards Raffles Boulevard. Verstappen leads Hamilton, Bottas, Vettel, Albon, Ricciardo's in there as well, Leclerc, and then ourselves as we're out under pressure from the Racing Point and Stroll here, but we're going to go down the inside of Charles Leclerc, and Leclerc took front wing damage actually from that collision that we had at the start there. We just got caught on each other as it was 3 wide in towards the first corner, and I certainly wasn't going to back out of the overtake as I had a better start than Leclerc. As we now crack on with our own Grand Prix here, Leclerc is going to drop further down the order, and in fact onto lap 3 of the Grand Prix here, Leclerc actually pitted at the end of the first lap to get rid of that damaged front wing. For us though, we're now attacking Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault, but problems for myself. My car is not quick in a straight line. I've obviously set the car up very much for the downforce because we need it, and we're trying to make do with a very bad straight line speed car, funnily enough. But now, onto lap 4 of the Grand Prix, we're getting much, much closer to Ricciardo, and I thought that the pace so far was absolutely sensational and very much a challenge for those further ahead. So I needed to get past Ricciardo very, very quickly, and Ricciardo then gets a decent exit out of there, but we get a much better exit now, so we make our way down towards Raffles Boulevard, gaining in the slipstream, gaining on Daniel Ricciardo, getting closer to the Renault driver. We're going to go for it down the inside on the Australian, and we just about make it stick there, keeping the car on the curb there, and we're up into 6th place now in the Singapore Grand Prix. Lovely overtake. Now we can see if we've got the pace to catch up to the front runners, or whether we're just going to languish back. Now, as we move on to lap 11 of the Singapore Grand Prix, Alex Albon has got some car problems in this Grand Prix, and he's now falling into the clutches of ourselves. Speaking of other people with even major car problems compared to Albon, is Danny Kvyat, because he's not going any further in this Grand Prix. As we have a little look here, you can see he's actually held up Verstappen here. Max started on the soft tyres, so Verstappen doing a two-stopper, and that's going to have cost him a good 4-5 seconds probably, just being stuck behind the AlphaTauri, who was pulling over to the side of the circuit there. So bad news for Kvyat. But of course, like I said, for Albon, things don't get much easier, because with that problem that he's got with his car, some sort of mechanical issue is costing him dear, and he's falling right into my clutches, and now all of a sudden we're all over the back of him here. We were hovering around about 2.5 seconds away from Albon, but now we're right behind him. We've just got to be patient now in this stage of the race. I knew that Albon had a problem. In fact, I didn't know Albon had a problem. I knew someone had a problem, but I didn't actually hear as Albon gets a little bit of a back-end tank slapper there, and now down the straight towards Raffles Boulevard, using up the ERS and the DRS and also Rich Mixture, and we get through past Alex Albon, and we're up into 4th place now in the Singapore Grand Prix, as Leclerc is out of contention with a damaged front wing. Verstappen's on a crazy two-stop strategy, which just isn't worth it around here, and the rest of the drivers in front of me, well, yeah, they're just in front. But yeah, now we need to build that gap on Albon, because as soon as his car gets back into working range, that thing is going to definitely become a problem. But now, as we go on to lap 12, or the end of lap 12 of this Singapore Grand Prix, we're going to be coming in now for our one and only stop of the race to get a set of hard tyres on, and we're going to take them straight to the end of the Grand Prix. They'll have no issues doing that. So as you can see now, coming in for our one and only stop, Hamilton stops for the hard tyres. He got held up a little bit then by Vettel, so Seb will be happy with that, until I come along and hold him up a little bit more, just to annoy him. So all of the advantage that Seb gained has now been mitigated by the fact that I'm a knob and got in the way. For us now, it's time for our pit stop, and as you can see, the 2.6 second stop, not too bad. Crucially though, it wasn't too slow that Albon managed to jump us in the pits, which does mean that we actually rejoined in P4. All of the soft tyre runners obviously stopped earlier than us, which meant that we had free track position. So we started it, we were in 4th, we pitted, and we stayed 4th. So brilliant stuff there from the team. And as you can see, Max Verstappen rejoins in P6. Now, he's made a stop, and he's still got another one to go. So Verstappen, then, in fact, he's already made it now at this point. So that two-stop strategy really hasn't worked out. Now, with the pace on the hard tyres then in the second stint, it was actually very, very good. And you can see that gap to Vettel was 4 seconds before the pit stop. We've halved that now to just 2 seconds over the German driver. And as you can see, lap 24 to start lap 25, gap now 1.8 seconds. And I was trying absolutely everything to claw on to the Sebastian Vettel and get on the back of him and potentially challenge for a podium place here at the Singapore Grand Prix. Gap 1.7 seconds, but unfortunately, I tried a bit too hard and I just didn't have enough left in the tank to really go for it. As Lewis Hamilton wins the Singapore Grand Prix, Bottas will make it a Mercedes 1-2 with Vettel in P3. But for us, it's going to be a quiet P4 at the Singapore Grand Prix, but I will not complain about that at all. A brilliant strategy from the team, of course. I was very tempted to go with the soft tyres, but obviously, because it was the main strategy pick, but obviously you just lose so much time, it was just not worth it in the end. And medium to hard, we also sorted out the setup absolutely perfectly, making sure that the tyres did not overheat here, because Singapore has been a track for me in particular where the tyre temperatures can really cost you very, very badly, and today that was not the case. We managed to get the job done, and very, very good stuff there from ourselves. And unfortunately for Alex Albon, whatever mechanical problem that Alex had, which allowed us to overtake him, it just did not get better. We were just able to stay in front of him, and yeah, pretty solid stuff then. So as you can see then, it is that Mercedes 1-2, which we see very much on a strong community, and yeah, I believe there'll be many of those to come in the future, IRL and probably in this career mode, unless someone else gets stepped up to the plate there. Yeah, apart from that, like I said, Albon was completely out of the way. Verstappen was not going to challenge us, so for me, I was just doing everything I could to try and beat Seb, but I didn't have the pace in the end. Got close. The closest I believe I got to was 1.5 seconds. It never got any closer than that, though. Sebastian had me covered. Kimi Räikkönen set the fastest lap of the race in the Alfa Romeo on a 3-stop strategy. Not the best way to get round here. Verstappen, the highest placed 2-stopper, everyone else doing a 1-stop. Drivers' Championship, Hamilton leads the championship now by 7 points over Bottas and Vettel, with Leclerc 36 points back. We're 85 points back. Mathematically, in with a chance of the World Drivers' Championship. Are we going to get it? Absolutely not. In Constructors' Championship, False Career still remain on P4 in the championship, which is pretty much where we're trying to aim to achieve now. Obviously, I know it's probably for, compared to other creators, it's well over the achievement bracket. But of course, I'm running mine much more casual, and it's much more enjoyable for me that way anyway. Looking at the interviews then, in terms of beating all the expectations, I mean, yeah, obviously, because like I said, mine is more cash. And then in terms of our battle with Alex today, it wasn't necessarily epic, because, well, Alex had a problem with his car and it didn't work. So, I mean, yeah, it was kind of difficult on which one to pick. And I eventually just picked, whoever comes out on top, it'll be an absolute treat. But as you can see then, the rivalry with Alex Albon, we actually drew it in the end. It was 26-26. I managed to get 4 points throughout the race. Albon got 2, which meant that it went up to 26-26, which does mean that I basically lost in the rivalry, short and short. I didn't beat my rival, so yeah, bit of annoying that one, especially when you had that problem in there. But we do get a beautiful 777k payout with all of our sponsors coming into play. Quite a few damage reductions in there as well, though, which doesn't quite bode well for us, but we'll make do with that. And we're up to 3.43 million, as we are eventually going to start saving all of that up. But guys, that is going to be it for today's episode at the Singapore Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it, and if you did, feel free to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you're on around here as well, as we now go back into the team headquarters and round off the episode. I don't actually remember if I bought anything, to be honest. I don't think I did, but we'll have a quick little look before we round off the episode. And well, then obviously next up, I believe, is the Japanese Grand Prix. Oh no, it's Russia actually. I lied. But as you can see, there's our resources coming back in, and we've got a couple of upgrades on the way at a very short amount of time before the next Grand Prix weekend. So yeah, not a lot to do there, but that's going to wrap it up. I don't think I purchased anything else, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. Take care all. Peace.